Do you wish you knew exactly how to write a sales post to attract soulmate clients using the most powerful gifts from your astrology chart? Well, guess what? Now you can learn how for free. I'm going to share my cosmic copywriting secrets that have helped people to instantly turn strangers on the internet into buyers for their high-ticket offers. In my 5-part training series, Cosmic Attraction Copywriting, you'll learn the mindset switch that takes my clients from feeling confused about their content or not feeling fully safe to share their story online to making sales more easily and naturally than ever before, with the astrological placement that unlocks a new level of depth in your storytelling that builds trust 10 times faster with the clients who are genuinely a very aligned fit to work with you. Plus, the messaging tweaks that take my clients from attracting people who can't afford it to easy sales into 5-figure offers with no sales calls. And you'll get clarity on the 3 things your soulmate clients need to hear from you consistently in your message to feel confident and excited to buy your offer. You'll also get my writing process prompts to share your story in a powerful way that stands out to the right people and leads to ready to buy clients popping up into your DMs asking to work with you. Click the link in the description for instant access to Cosmic Attraction Copywriting. This is Sarah Mack and welcome to Creative Magic Club. Together, we'll discover inspirational stories of creative entrepreneurs living out their dreams, doing the work they are most passionate about, and building wealth in magical and fun ways. While building a 6-figure income as a writer and coach, helping other women to launch their dream businesses, I've connected with so many incredible people and seen it proven again and again that you can thrive financially doing whatever it is you are passionate about. I'm here to share life-changing strategies for mindset, making money, and reaching more people with your work in a business and life filled with creativity, freedom, and fun. Hi, Sarah Mack here, helping you to become a 6-figure creative by filling your high-ticket offers through authentic storytelling and astrology-guided content strategy. So, I have a special 2-part series for you where we're going to dive in to a pretty major recent transit, which is Jupiter moving into Cancer, and how we can leverage this to make more money in our business. So today we're going to dive into the conversation around how to create money-making content without burning out. And in next week's episode, we're going to look at how to develop a strong brand identity for high-ticket sales and how we can leverage this unique energy that we have just shifted into. So I think you're going to love it. Stay tuned, subscribe if you haven't already to make sure you get part 2 and join the conversation. Let me know what comes up for you. So before we dive in, I want to remind you that if you know you're done with trying to figure out your message, pricing, and launch strategy by yourself, and you're ready for deeply supportive, high-touch mentorship to launch and fill your high-ticket offer this year, and that is your goal, the place for you to do that is inside my 6-month private mentorship offer, Sell Your Magic Like Magic. So please reach out. I do have spaces available. You can click on the link in the description to apply. And I have some very exciting news that I'm opening doors to the Cosmic Copy Mastermind this month. And this will actually be the last chance to get in at current pricing, and then the price is going up. This is such a special and exciting space where we have 2 monthly deep dive workshops to understand your astrology chart, to really see your unique magic and gifts and clearly translate that into powerful sales copy to attract the dreamiest clients into your high ticket offer. So if you're tired of questioning your messaging and wondering where the hell your soulmate clients are who are actually ready to invest in your work, go click on the link below to get on the wait list and get first dibs on early enrollment bonuses. Plus, I have 2 spots inside my Cosmic Story Intensive which is where you'll come away with sales copy for a sales page for your high ticket offer with a strategically written bio. So you'll know exactly which parts of your story to lead with in your launch content to attract people who are the perfect fit and who are ready to invest in your high ticket offer. So all the links below are there to book. So maybe you've heard the word on the street that Jupiter just moved into Cancer beginning on June 9th. And this is where Jupiter will be hanging out until June 30th, 2026. So this is a new era. We've just had Jupiter in Gemini, and Jupiter in Gemini is a difficult placement. That's its detriment. It's not a harmonious energy, but Cancer is where Jupiter loves to be. So this is a lot more supportive, which is great news for us. And obviously there's always, it's never just, one story. There's a lot going on in the skies. So if you do want my full transmission on everything that's going on for the recent full moon in Sagittarius that we just had, go over to my Instagram account, Sarah Mac Magic, and comment on my full moon post. Or if you comment on any of my posts with Sag, S-A-G, then you will get in your inbox a direct link to like a 20-minute walkthrough of all of the things that are going on and how we can leverage them for financial expansion, and doing that with more ease and alignment and authenticity, and to really step into our next level of creative leadership. So today I want to dive more into really how we can leverage this era of Jupiter in Cancer to make more money, to experience more alignment, more authenticity, and more impact in our business. So it's an absolute shit show out there, I'm sure you've noticed. But so I think this is a really supportive energy for us to just be the best that we can be for ourselves, for our community, for the world. And, the goal is always just to be our fullest expression and to do that in ways that bring us joy, right? Like, this is our life. This is our life. And how are we choosing to live it? How are we choosing to be and to do every day? And, what is our impact? What is our legacy? So before you spiral into an existential crisis, well, I'm sure you're already there. Let's face it, who's not having an existential crisis at this moment in humanity? Let's just touch on some of these main themes. So as it relates to making money, Cancer, it's one of the money signs, and it connects to money through themes of emotional security and also taking an intuitive approach. This idea that, Cancer is all about home and ancestry and family. And I feel so much of what would fall under the term abundance is the wealth that we inherit, right? And I know that so many of us, when we think of ancestry, the trending topics of conversation really are healing ancestral curses, right? We are the generation, especially if you're millennial or you've got Pluto and Scorpio, like so many of us, like we are really that generation that finally went to therapy and is looking at all of the dysfunctional emotional stuff that we have brought with us into this life through our lineage, and been doing so much freaking work to clear that out, especially when it comes to money and freedom and self-expression. So we're all deeply familiar with that conversation, but I think we often forget to really anchor into the wealth that we inherit from our ancestral lineage. If you resonate with me, I know there's a lot of people who are immigrants in my community or who have moved somewhere away from where you were born and where you grew up, or have felt the need to get distance from your bloodline because of the challenges that it presented to you in your upbringing. But for everything that we blame them for, we also have to give them credit for everything that we are that supports us, and that is our gifts and our strengths and our resilience. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the resilience, no matter how dysfunctional that may have been, that our ancestors figured out for us and gave to us. So Cancer, when it comes to stability and security and money, is something that we can reflect on, really building and safeguarding a sense of material safety and emotional protection. These are very key themes. And fear, safety, security, these are big, powerful topics to understand and to leverage when we want to become somebody who's capable of more, creating more, receiving more, holding more, growing more, impacting more. And with Jupiter in Cancer, Jupiter is the expander. So we're going to be supported in these themes over the next year, but expansion comes with a shadow side too. Like it's like pouring gasoline on the fire. So whatever's there is going to be ignited and it's going to increase in intensity. So as always, we get to lean into our ancestral healing, looking at our internal dialogue, personalities, identities, things that we have inherited that are kind of our default programming that maybe aren't working for us. Like, this work is always going to be powerful, but particularly in this season. If you haven't already, go read my book, The Six Figure Creative, Heal Your Relationship with Money, Doing Work That You Love, which gives you a very specific process, journaling prompts and tools to do that work. And just as we can go deep in this season, we can create a lot of emotional transformation, we can create a lot of growth and expansion, and also in that cozy Cancer way. So I think of Cancer as being a very cozy sign because it's like the home, it's like being at home with your snuggle rug and your cup of tea and your favorite music and your favorite people and your favorite pets, and just, like the crab tends to do, withdrawing from the world and going inside and feeling good and cozy. So one of the key words of Cancer is care, and really making decisions from the heart, because how do we make decisions when it comes to family? We make those decisions from love, right? And often they don't make logical sense. Often we can, radically rise above fear and logic because of love, because of that human desire to protect our loved ones. So this is our true power as humans, and making decisions from a place where we put the well-being of all involved at the center, like, we're just winning. We're winning when we do that. So let's set the intention to really expand that and to be leaders of that and to prove, because I know that anyone in this community, that's not an issue for you. The issue is finding a way to make it work financially, right? Is being the carer and being the giver and being so generous and being so gifted and wanting to connect and wanting to heal and being able to receive what it is that we need to be able to care for ourselves, to make sure that we're not just emptying our cup out today and forgetting about tomorrow, but we have our legacy in mind and we're thinking long term, and we're not just, oh, I'm just gonna, jump through hoops with this person that's in front of me and give everything that I can in the hope that that will continue to lead to more opportunities down the line, but really having that balance and being strategic in thinking long term. So that's why we're going to address boundaries to prevent burnout in this conversation, because I know that we have a tendency to overgive and under-receive. And that is a pattern that we get to set the intention to break during this season. And, as this is happening, the week that this shift took place is the week that all hell has broken loose with the ICE riots in LA. And, we're seeing an uprising of community giving a fuck. And You have a burning desire to help more people with your work and charge prices that will support your dream life. But right now, you're overthinking your prices, overcomplicating your launches, or wondering if your message is even landing with your people. You dream of reaching a place in your business where you know how to sign those perfect fit soulmate clients into your high ticket offer every month with ease. But right now, creating sales content feels like a constant drain, and you're not sure how to write in a way that attracts the right people for your offer. In Sell Your Magic Like Magic, my private mentorship, you'll fill your high ticket offers on repeat by using your astrology chart to share the parts of your story that make you the obvious choice for your soulmate clients. We'll design a custom, clear launch plan that's fun and easy to follow through with. We'll create the content pieces necessary to bring in 5 to 6 figures in sales over the coming weeks. And we'll make sure you know exactly what to prioritize and what to ditch from your calendar so you're spending way less time online and enjoying your life and business more. You can sign clients into your high ticket offers with a repeatable strategy that's sustainable and fun through every season of life. Apply using the link below. Standing up to defend and to protect the people in our community who are under attack and whose safety and family is being threatened. And I know that this can just be a lot to navigate. Again, with any intense world event, social media can become a very triggering and challenging and just consuming and dramatic place to be. And I've been, because I have these conversations a lot with people in my community of like, I just doesn't feel right showing up to sell my offer when this is happening in the world. And I always like to remind us and to remind ourselves and to remind each other that you doing your work in the world is the greatest offering that you can give. You making your highest contribution, you figuring what the hell you're good at out, packaging that and making it really freaking obvious and visible so that the people who can benefit from your magic can find you. There is no higher offering that then in turn allows you to thrive, that then in turn gives you more resources to support the communities that you care about. And obviously everyone has different roles in all of these different events, but a message that I've been getting very clearly when I've been tuning in is to really unplug from the drama of it all. And that doesn't mean don't stay informed, but it does mean you don't have to be informed about every single minutia of the drama that's going on, but to be in that place where you are capable of continuing to rise. What boundaries do you need to have that allow you to continue to rise in your power? And I'm not saying to gaslight yourselves or to ignore or to unplug. We still get to feel and grieve and heal and allow our emotions to drive us and to be engaged in the ways that we feel we have the most power and impact. But, we're in Gemini season, and the shadow side of Gemini is gossip. And it's that chatter, it's that high stimulus of all the things, all the time, all at once, yada, yada, yada. And that's really how it can feel with these types of events. Everyone in social media is jumping on it to join the conversation and to get attention around the conversation. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. We absolutely need to amplify, the messages that we feel need to be heard. But from a consumption standpoint, this is where we need to have extremely tight boundaries and to not allow ourselves to give our power away to the emotional intensity of it. So let's dive in to some ideas and some ways and some tools and some strategies that you can use to support yourself in all of these themes. First of all, you want to look at where Cancer falls in your chart. For me, it's the end of my 10th and then my 11th house. So I've known that this transit has been coming for a while. And 10th house is, 10th and 11th house are very similar themes. 10th house is public recognition and visibility around your career and your work. And 11th house is broader community. So, it can be really good for social, for growth, for friends, for building community in every sense of the word, both professionally and personally. And I've already seen that expansion happening in my business, and I've been leveraging this transit through what I've been prioritizing over the past year, particularly with Jupiter and Gemini. But as this shift started to happen, as Jupiter started to wind up its time in Gemini and we shifted into the 11th house, I was in this real portal and void over the past few weeks. And I know a few other people have said the same thing. So if this has also been something you've been experiencing, I'd be so curious to hear what has been going on for you. So for me, I had my egg retrieval for my IVF surgery, and I had some internal bleeding that happened afterwards, which was kind of stressful and dramatic, but I'm doing so much better now. And, like many health crises, and I've been through many, they kind of do become this portal where everything that had your attention up until that moment kind of falls away. And you're really forced to reconnect back to your body and to prioritize the basic human things that, create those strong foundations of health. And it's been a really potent reset button for me. And if you've been around for a while, you've probably heard me talk about how I had long COVID for more than a year. And there was just so many silver linings to that experience in terms of how I shifted in my business, how I became more flexible, how I let go of certain things I had been pursuing that actually led to so much more freedom in the way that I make money and live my life in my business. So just remember that if you are going through it right now, if shit is hitting the fan for you, just trust that there's a silver lining. Trust that there's a lesson in this for you. And like anything, it will pass, right? So during this portal, and knowing that, my intention is to make a baby, I've really very intuitively, and then once I noticed that was happening, very intentionally been investing in cultivating my feminine energy and really coming back to my creative center. And what, happened during that period is really going back into the void of I don't know what I want. I don't know what my priorities are anymore. All I know is I'm really getting back into music again. Singing. I signed up for a singing course. I signed up with a guitar teacher, and just spending more time knowing that when I give that to myself, it shifts my energy, it shifts my vibration. It just feels really freaking good. It brings me back to my body. It brings me back to training my voice and just being more present with my physical state. And then I had the surgery and I was in my recovery, and you know how sometimes when you're sick and you just kind of get into binging Netflix, I was definitely there, which is amazing and love it, but it gets to a point where you start to feel like this is icky and this needs to stop. And it was enough to re-inspire me to really get back into diligence with my Saturn habits. So just what I mean by Saturn is, what are you being disciplined around? What is the routine? What is the structure? What are the acts and the actions that you take that are moving you towards the direction that you want to go? And sometimes this can be really mundane, it can be really repetitive, and it can be really challenging, and it can be boring, which is really hard for our creative minds. And so, as most of us can most likely identify, we're in an out love-hate relationship with habits. But I just was I was ready, I was I'm bored of not feeling my best. I'm willing to do whatever it takes. So I'm on my morning routine. I'm back on my health habits. I'm off screens. I'm back into nature, just really back to prioritizing my human. And this makes me think of the crab. The Cancer is represented by the crab, and it has that hard shell that supports that soft interior. So in doing this, it's just completely reignited my creativity. I got the clarity all dropped in. I know what my next project is that I'm focused on. I went through this giant decluttering and purging and just getting rid of all the unnecessary things that I didn't want to waste time, energy, or money on. So this is something that I'm inviting us to reflect on in this season is letting the masculine support structures support our creative feminine flow. Another support system that I love is the Artist Way, the daily journaling, which I've been doing. We've been doing this inside Millionaire Witch Club, inside the writers group in our WhatsApp chat. And this is the 5th time that I'm doing it. And I know whenever I do this, whenever I prioritize my inner voice and just spending that time journaling and being grounded and really listening to my own ideas, always there, like it just births a creative pivot for me. And I get clarity and I get insight. So I'm a big fan of the conversation around Saturn and habits, because depending on where your Saturn is, you'll have a different relationship with consistency. If you have a mutable Saturn, it's going to look very different than when you have a fixed Saturn. So I want to host a Saturn habits community brainstorm session that I'm going to plan in the next couple weeks. So if you're interested in coming along, send me a DM on Instagram at with Sarah Mac. Just send me the word brainstorm and I will send you an invite to that. And then we can come and jam out and really get a little more clarity on the different Saturn placements and what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And I think it can be so empowering to get out of that conversation of judgment of, oh, you know, I've done a bad job because I didn't do the exact same thing every day, or I fell off my habits, or I wasn't perfect with it. And I'm pretty good at being consistent with a habit, but I have a fixed Saturn. So if you have a mutable Saturn, you can't have the same approach to building structure and devotion and discipline as just doing the same thing every day. So I can't wait to have this conversation with you all and help you to get more clarity on what are those structures that will support you to actually access those higher levels of your creativity and flow. So how do we apply this to money-making content and increase our impact and our capacity and our income without decreasing our physical well-being and burning out? So for me, it's always been leaning into intuition. And like the crab, we need to have those masculine structures that support us to tune into really how we're feeling and listening to that internal voice and to cultivate creativity, which comes from within. It doesn't come externally. So the more we can do that, the more we're going to tap into authenticity in our content and our messaging and our strategy. Because I'm sure you all resonate with this phenomenon of being like, I've planned the perfect launch. I maybe have even planned all the content topics that I want to talk about. And then you make the plan and then all you want to do is throw it out the window. So we can get caught in overwhelm and in analysis paralysis when we're too much in the masculine and we're too much in the structure and we're trying to plan everything and we're trying to control everything. So it's about finding that balance and knowing what are those small moves that you can make that support your highest levels of creativity and intuition and authenticity and expression. So knowing your bare minimums and allowing space to flow is really key. So knowing what commitments you need to make to yourself to keep your business running, especially with your content and with your sales content and with your offer launches. So for me, I'm a slow and steady wins the race everyday girl. I do not push myself to the point that I'm exhausted. And this is kind of like a reaction formation from burning out before my business, is that fear of burning out happening again. I'm so unavailable for it to happen. I probably don't push myself as much as I maybe could. Like, I'm so far away from burning out. That'll never happen to me again. But I'm a slow and steady and have fun while I build girl, you know? So here are some of my commitments. Is emailing my list every week. I've done that without fail since I started my list 8 years ago. My goal is 3 times a week, but it's minimum once or twice a week. And like that consistency, I'm like, there's no excuse not to do that. It's a freaking email, you know? My commitment is to showing up on stories daily. Sometimes I'll take the weekends off because I like to have a break from social. And then my feed is minimum couple times a week. ideal is 3 to 5. And then my podcast is my non-negotiable weekly podcast. Again, I've been consistent for 4 years. And this is really my client creation system. And within this system, I have so many options. So being unavailable for burnout, one of my favorite go-to if I'm not feeling particularly energized or creatively inspired is just repurposing content. Posting something that I've posted before again, or taking content from elsewhere and reusing it. And then asking myself what feels like the easiest way to show up. Is it going live? That is actually very easy for me because I built my business going live. Showing up on stories is very easy for me. But if I'm not feeling good and I don't really want to be, facing the camera, then maybe a photo and a caption is what feels easiest. So we really get to ask ourselves what feels easiest today. And then obviously we always have the option to outsource. And something that I've invested in getting support within my business is getting my VAs to pull all of my content and put it in a content bank. So it's so easy for me to locate past content that I then want to repurpose and post again. So organizing the back end of our business, that is a project that has really built ease into my consistency over the years. And then when the goal is to make money, it sounds so simple, but it's crazy how often we just stray far from this, which is knowing my priority, which is connecting to my income goal, refocusing on what I'm selling, and then creating content that strategically sells that. This is the most important kind of content if you want your business to make money consistently. And, if it feels like a massive challenge or there's a ton of resistance to show up and sell, then create some other content, create some connection content, some engagement content. But making sales content a weekly non-negotiable and tracking it and actually following through on it is the habit that has led to consistency in my income. So obviously another thing that makes this way easier is having a consistent offer suite and not constantly be reinventing the wheel and launching new things, which just adds so much extra work that's required in order for you to make sales and serve clients. So the next thing to pay attention to is boundaries. I got really good at being like, I don't work late and I don't work weekends. And that felt stretchy and edgy for me for a time. But when I implemented that, my productivity went way up because we have to have the yin and the yang. We have to have the restoration in order to have the energy to go out there and take action again. We need rest and recovery. And again, this is about high performance and longevity. This is not just about quick wins and hustle to an income goal. And the most empowering perspective around this is that burnout and overgiving is a choice. Like, you choose it. If you feel like shit, you're choosing it. You're the only person who has the power to change that. It's a mindset. It's a set of weak boundaries. And it can feel really hard to renegotiate boundaries, particularly when our conditioning and our belief system is programmed in the opposite direction. But believe me when I tell you, as somebody from experience, it's not as hard as burning out and it's not as expensive. So please take it from me. So be the crab. Have that strong masculine shell that's holding a soft and flexible center. So know what supports your shell. Know what keeps it shiny and colorful and free from urchins or whatever. And know when it's time to really give yourself that time to be that ooey gooey, cozy crab meat in the middle. I don't know how we feel about this analogy. And remember, Jupiter will expand for good or for bad. So it will expand the good, but it will exacerbate the issues, the underlying issues and the challenges. So when something comes to your attention, be like, thank you, Jupiter, for bringing this to my attention. Now it's time for me to get my little crab claws out, pick it apart and reconstruct it in a way that allows me to feel more flow. So beware of the exacerbation of exhaustion and overgiving and burnout, or even being too rigid in leaning too much into those masculine structures. So remember, Cancer is all about our emotion, and the beauty and the enjoyment of our life is cultivated through the emotions that we choose to experience and that we choose to cultivate. So what emotion and what support structures do you want to expand over the next year? And what are those habits and rituals and practices and boundaries that you can put in place to support that? And I love thinking about, a long-term transit like this, because a year is such a long time to make progress. It's okay if you fall flat on your face the first couple of times of trying to implement. Keep sticking to it. Utilize this transit, utilize these energies to really create radical transformation, so that this time next year, you're in a radically different place and you feel better, you can flow more, you feel more supported and secure and stable. So I hope you've loved this episode. Let me know your takeaways. Send me a DM on Instagram, or come and join the Millionaire Witch Club WhatsApp chat or monthly full moon circle, and tell me what's been going on for you and how you've been interpreting this energy. And please, please, please go and leave a review over on iTunes, and I will love you forever. Send this episode to anyone else that you know who would love it. And I'm sending you so much love, and I'll see you next week for our part 2 in the Jupiter in Cancer series. Bye. For more inspirational content, head over to my website withsarahmac.com, and please support the show by liking, commenting, and subscribing. Are you a healer, witch, creative, or magical entrepreneur who's ready to fill your high-ticket one-on-one or group coaching program, and you want a sales page that will do the selling for you? Maybe you're tired of having a calendar full of sales calls, and you want a sales page that can clearly articulate your offer and guide interested clients to feel ready to buy without needing to talk to you first. Maybe you already have a sales page and people are clicking on it but not reaching out, and you want to feel clear on what to say and what not to say to turn interested people into actual buyers. Having sales pages for my offers has led to filling a high-ticket group coaching program with 10 clients at $1,000 each, while traveling on vacation for 2 weeks and launching using repurposed content. Having 5-figure months from sales into my $5,000 evergreen mastermind with no live launching beyond daily social media content. Signing clients into my $17,000 private mentorship program with no sales calls. When you book my Cosmic Sales Intensive, you'll walk away with a full, clear, compelling sales page for your high-ticket offer that will attract ready-to-buy clients and that you can continue to make sales with for years to come. Clients who have been through this offer have created a sales page that went on to sell out a high-ticket relationship coaching mastermind, had 20 applications within 48 hours of publishing, sold several $15,000 private mentorship packages, and even had a 6-figure launch with the sales page and content strategy we created within just a few weeks. Stop losing people with fluffy language that sounds the same as so many others in your industry, and clearly articulate why your work is worth $5,000 to $10,000 plus, even when you sell things like astrology, human design, breathwork, mindset coaching, or energy work. Book your Cosmic Sales Intensive now at withsarahmac.com or via the link in my description.